He is somebody who a lot of folks who watched NFL coverage on social media, and a comedian as well. Joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show at the very end of a 30 NFL stadium tour to raise funds for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Tom Grossi, good to see you, sir.
Thank you, everyone, for having us. I appreciate you. This is amazing.
You bet, man. Absolutely. Here, let me put on my St. Jude pin that you
we got to represent, of course.
We got to represent.
Of course.
Right here. So walk me through, again, how this started. What you've been doing?
Yeah.
So, all of June, right? All of June?
So all of June. So yeah, we started May 29th, I think, at this point. It's tough to keep track of the days, but yeah.
I'm not going to hold you to it.
Yeah. Just like, where were you on day 6?
That's right.
Yeah, so this started back in February, and it got to a point where I do characters for different NFL teams and all that great stuff. And I was like, you know what, it'd be really funny to dress as those characters and then just like go to the NFL stadium, shoot a skit, something like that. And I thought about that for a few years and just never got out there.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm in the shower on Valentine's Day, washing my hair, and had the greatest idea I could possibly, because that's where you have them. It's in the shower.
On Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's Day.
Great visual, Tom.
Thank you. I really
welcome.
just wanted to paint the picture. I was getting ready for a nice moment, like a nice candlelit dinner, dogs and cats.
Shampoo and conditioner in one?
Exactly. Of course.
Okay,
of course.
very good.
We're washing it up. We're getting the scalp.
Yes.
And it got to a point I was like, well, wait, what if I do 30? Like, what if I do all 30? But people have done that, right? People have done like in a season, or they've gone to games and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I was like, well, what if I do it in 30 days? And I'm sitting on this, standing technically, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I could do this. And for 2.5 months, I planned it out before I even said a word. I just planned it out, tried to like, what would this look like? What would the route look like? The logistics of this thing.
Yes.
And I would do it in June, because June is really the 1 month out of the year the NFL has no coverage.
Pretty much.
Right? So there's like OTAs for a hot second, and then we talk about Stephon Diggs for 2 minutes and like that kind of stuff.
Or 20.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I said, okay, let's try to do that. And I came up with the idea, and then on draft night 1, during the draft coverage, I announced, and now we're here on day 30 in SoFi.
And look at this video of you just going around the country and meeting people and being all around the NFL world, and you get to see the passion of the fan bases that are out there. My gosh, so significant. How did you choose St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for your charity?
So this goes back a few years at this point. So I started this in 2015. I was a full-time teacher too. Was teaching high school history.
Bless you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We did that, and it got to a point where I just love the Packers. I actually started this because of the NFC Championship game that the Packers lost to the Seahawks, because it was just so destroying.
Yes.
So it was therapy. So I made a video, and it did pretty well, and then started the podcast. But I'd bring on guests every single week of the opposing team. And it was in 2015 where I brought on a guest, and as you know, you plug things, right? But like for the guest, plug everything away. And he didn't want to plug socials. He wanted to plug a charity that provided service dogs to vets. And at this point, I was on a teacher salary. I was not making a lot of money. And I was like, man, I just don't have money for this. So I donated $50. And it was really like, if I ever get to a point where I have any type of platform, I'm going to use it to give back. So 2 years ago, when things really started kicking off, we raised $81,000 for various charities.
That's
a lot
amazing.
Of smaller name ones, but really, really good charities. We vet them very, very tough.
Yes.
And then last year, we raised about $102,000 for various charities, including $62K in just 9 hours. And that's this community. I mean, that's what it is. This is all football fans. How we've raised $330,000 for St. Jude is just football fans.
That's how much you've raised to date.
Today, yeah, we've raised $330K.
That's beautiful.
We wanted $100K. We hit that on day 10. So it's been incredible. But for St. Jude, for something like this, it's a organization I've wanted to work with for quite some time. On top of that, I don't have to educate anybody on what St. Jude does. Everybody knows how good they are, and they know the mission. And I didn't even tell St. Jude I was doing this.
You didn't?
Oh no, I don't tell
my heads up.
No, I don't tell my charities that I raise money for them. They just get a check in the mail like a month. I don't want recognition or anything like that.
Sure.
So yeah, no, I just picked St. Jude, and they found me because in Buffalo, I jumped through a table.
I saw that.
Yeah, it hurt. But it's like Buffalo's always with me because it's in my back.
So you cracked one open. There you go.
Yeah,
you got by the way, very royal crown you've got on your head there.
Yes.
I think it's like a fast food. All right.
And that was gravel, my friend. Like that wasn't grass. That was. I thought it was going to be grass. I found an old picture from 2 years ago, And it was not. It was gravel. But
By the way, I love the multiple camera coverage.
we
you
had a
have here.
drone there. Like a fan brought a drone.
I love it.
It was incredible, and it hurt. We powered through. And then the next day we missed our 5:09 a.m. flight. I was running on 90 minutes of sleep, so I drove 6.5 hours to Foxborough to make it to the next fan event. But in talks about St. Jude, yeah, I don't tell them anything. And then they found me and were like, "What are you doing?" Because they saw that. And they were like, "Are you just hurting yourself for money?" And I was like, no, that's not what it is. And, we got to this place where now I was able to go to Memphis and visit the campus.
Yes.
And just have that incredible experience. And since then, it's just been full steam ahead.
Well, if you're doing this to just hurt yourself to raise money, you would have lit that table on fire before you jumped into it. Wait a minute. I'm being told Bills fans do that too. Wait a minute.
Accurate.
Okay.
There was a few people like, "Why didn't you light it on fire?" I was like, "Guys, this is day 6. I got 24 more days to go."
Tom, did they say that in a way where they were insinuating that you were not committing to the bid? Is that what you're saying?
Listen, there was 150 people that packed that backyard, right? And again, this is just this is the fan base that we built for
awesome.
8 years, and it's incredible. And going to this point, we've talked about it, sponsors and all that stuff. I don't take sponsors on my main channel. I don't do any of that stuff.
Sure.
And this is all self-funded. Like, I did not buy a house this year. Like, I to save a down payment and say, I want to do this instead.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because this is what you're supposed to do. Like, we've been doing this chaotic good because I'm a D&D fan, but we're chaotic good. And we've inspired people, whether it's to donate, whether we do local raids of local businesses whenever we're in town. Like, that's the whole point of this. We're bringing every fan base together under one roof. We have Saints and Falcons fans hugging it out after fan events. Like, that's what this is about. Like, we're putting a spotlight on fans and the teams. And there's just nothing better that you could do to raise money.
Tom Grossi here, raising money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, which once again, I do want to just pause here to just let everyone know that every single dollar that you raise or that is raised by anybody who raises money for St. Jude goes to making sure that not only that sick kids get better, but parents or any guardian never sees a bill for anything: travel, transportation, food, lodging, and of course the health care. So everyone just focuses on the kid and makes things great for the kid. And some of the research that they have done to make sure that these kids get better, it's truly heaven on earth in Memphis, Tennessee. No question about it, brother.
And it's the sharing too, right?
Yeah.
It's sharing around the world that information. It's that collaboration, saying we're trying to reduce child mortality rates in all these other places. And these aren't talking points. These aren't just going through. This is what they're doing.
Correct.
And it's incredible. And that's one of the reasons why I picked them.
That's amazing. So how did you, let's talk about your journey here.
Sure.
So you went to where first? Where did you go first?
So Green Bay, Wisconsin, Lambeau Field, because I'm a Packers fan.
So you drove from New York?
That one.
Okay,
so I
you
flew that one.
Okay.
Yes, so flew to that one. And anytime we could get a flight was great. We only missed 2 flights this entire time.
That's impressive.
Yeah, we only missed 2 flights, a couple delays, only 1 layover, not too bad. But yeah, went to Green Bay, Wisconsin. We got there a day early, did some filming. Shout out to Wes Hodkowitz, who showed us around, gave us a little private tour. Mm-hmm. And for the beginning of this tour, we weren't even let into these places because, like I said, I'm just a guy in a basement who makes football videos. That's it.
So you just were sometimes for some stadiums just knocking on the door saying, "Hey, let me in. Would you let me in?"
Yeah. And a lot of them to begin with, just ignore, which is fine. I get it. I don't have those connections. It's all good.
Right.
And so the Green Bay was the first one to let us in because of Wes, and so grateful for that. Mm-hmm. But then the next few, we just didn't get into any stadiums. But then it was about, again, what this whole thing was highlighting the fan bases and the cities. So I remember when we went to Detroit, we had a fan meetup outside the stadium, and security came over, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Hey, I sent emails. It was just we're just doing a quick fan meetup, just some pictures, all that great stuff, just signing some things." And we were moved across the street, which was fine. And then a representative from the Lions came out after it was done, and they're like, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Mm-hmm. Because we had about 50, 60 people there.
Right.
And after that, they're like, "Okay, well, we have a high school graduation rehearsal going on, but do you want to go in the stadium? You can't shoot anything except the ceiling, but do you want to do that?" And I said, yeah, because that was the first stadium that we were allowed into besides Lambeau Field.
Fantastic.
And I remember texting Johnny Barks, who's my camera and editor guy, who's been with me this entire time, and I was ecstatic. I was like, "Someone let us in! This is amazing!" Right? I was just
good for the Lions.
Yeah, good for the Lions. And I will say that's been one of the best parts too. The cities that people are like, "Oh, you got to be careful about this city," or "Oh, don't go to this city." We had the time of our life in Detroit. Like there were so many genuine good people there. Baltimore was another one. Like Baltimore was a tough city. The people there were electric.
Awesome.
And being able to highlight each of those, like just the people, the communities, the businesses, when we go and do local businesses, that's been the best part of this. And so by the time the game changer one was the Patriots. The Patriots, they didn't even tell me.
Don't tell him that.
Listen, I gotta
the Crafts are very
good
philanthropic people.
Yes.
They
so
were incredible.
My brother-in-law has an annual event for the Jimmy Fund, and the Patriots every year count us in.
Yeah.
Every year.
So
without fail.
I didn't even know how that story went. So because I called every team, every team back in May, called every team, emailed every team, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And I called the Patriots, and I just probably got somebody on a bad day. And I was like, hey, do you do stadium tours? They're like, we don't do stadium tours. I said, that's okay. I said, what about the Hall of Fame? Because I know that's right next.
Yes.
He goes, have you been to the Hall of Fame before? And I was like, yeah, I think a few years ago I went. He goes, well, nothing's changed, so don't bother coming. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, I expected nothing.
Wow. Right.
We get there, the whole fan base is outside. There's at least 50 to 75 people there.
Yes.
The Patriots walk out and they go, we want your entire tour to come in. We were going to give you all a personalized tour.
Fantastic.
So they brought us all in. We did the personalized tour.
Yeah.
I'm running on 90 minutes of sleep after driving 6.5 hours and jumping through a table the day before.
Yes.
So I'm hurting, right? At the end, I go back. I'm hurting, but you got to get there regardless.
By the way, I just love how what you said is all factual, and it's not like tongue-in-cheek at all.
Nope.
Because you literally...
6.5 hours. I'm hurting. I jumped through a table.
Yep. I-90s, we just went. That's it.
What an NFL fan thing to say. Fantastic. I'm sorry. So I don't mean to interrupt, so go ahead.
So at the end, the fan event was over. We took pictures with everybody because at these fan events too, it's my responsibility. Everyone who's come out, people have flown in. People have driven over 8 hours to get to us.
That's
so
awesome.
I don't leave until everyone has a picture and or autograph because that's just the best thing that I can probably do.
Yep.
And so I'm running on all this. I'm exhausted. And I'm like, all right, can I just come back real quick? Just me, just for some B-roll.
Mm-hmm.
And the staff comes out and they're like, the Crafts want you to see something. And I'm like, okay. And they just hand me 3 Super Bowl rings, Rich, in my hand. And they go, just don't put these on over the hard floors because one's a little loose. And they walk away.
One's a little loose.
So I'm standing there with 3 Super Bowl rings in my hand, terrified because I'm running on no sleep. It was a death grip on this. I sat in a chair and I was like, get the shot, get the shot, get the shot. And I was like, please take these back. Please take these back. Do you see the face there? That is exhaustion, my friend. And it didn't get better after that. The sleep debt that I've accrued over this, we get usually about 3 hours of sleep a night. No. And then we're off to the next city. So
what a flex, by the way. Did what was it, RKK or Jonathan Kraft? What do I have here in this drawer? Give him these 3 Super Bowl rings. Yeah, let him put it on.
Well, we know how Putin got a ring.
Robert Kraft took the ring, apparently.
And walked away.
But
took it.
It was that, and the reason that got set up is because a diehard fan named Tim went to the Patriots and was like, you have to let this guy in.
That's awesome.
They went to the Crafts and the Crafts said, great. Absolutely. And from there, it's been amazing. And we haven't been able to get into every single stadium. For example, MetLife, which I've been to many, many times. Ed Sheeran, there's the production going on. They're like, you can't even be on the property. So I filmed it on the side of a highway.
I got you.
Yeah.
Which is a very New Jersey thing to do.
Yeah, honestly, it really is.
Was it Bada Bing in the background? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. So it was great. But the teams that have let us in, they've been so generous. They've been so incredible. We were kicking field goals on the Bengals stadium. It was amazing. And the teams that have gotten this, we've just made them look amazing. Even the ones that haven't, we make them look amazing too. But at the end of the day, it legitimately is about the fans. And of course, it's for the kids.
Of course. Tom Grossi here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's the big finish? What do you got? Because you're going to SoFi today, right?
Yes, we're going to SoFi. I've never been to California except for a couple of days ago when I was in Santa Clara.
Okay.
So this has been an incredible
the
experience.
Field of Jeans, you went up there? Okay.
Oh, yes,
very good.
We did that.
Okay.
And the 49ers, they brought 2 employees and they were the only ones in on a Sunday. It was incredible.
Wow.
And that's the stories that we're telling. It's the people. The amount of people who have been so helpful. The Uber drivers who have tipped us $5 for St. Jude. The desk clerks, James in Pittsburgh, who gave me $20 when he asked what we were there for. That's been the story of this entire time, just how genuinely good people are. We've encountered just incredible human beings on this trip, and it's just been amazing. And so, yeah, SoFi, we're going to head there later for a tour, trying to host a fan event there, too. That's been in the works and trying to get that done, but that's likely going to happen.
Does NFL Network know you're in town?
I don't know.
Because we're right across the street from SoFi.
I mean, listen.
I can make a call.
I mean, that'd be great. I mean, just to try and raise money for kids. But
Dude,
as
I
I
don't know.
said,
NFL Total Access might have some room on the rundown on the Wednesday of the end of June.
28th rundown.
All right, I'll make a.
I appreciate
Of
you.
course, that's the least I can do. And just SoFi Stadium indoors is truly like you're wearing VR goggles. It is one of the most amazing sights you can see, and just take notes and tell these two Rams season ticket holders what it looks like, because they don't go in the building.
No,
they make sure the Cowboys fans get good seats. They make sure that the
Eagles, Bears.
Yeah, right. Well, who's coming to you know who the visitors are this year, not because you're planning out when you're going.
No.
You're just planning out when you're selling, right?
Steelers and Eagles are in town.
See, they know.
I will say the Cowboys were another amazing team to us. Like, they were so incredibly generous.
The Joneses?
Like, they were so good to us. So our dads are Cowboys fans.
Aha.
So we're both Packers fans, and both our dads are Cowboys fans.
How the hell did that happen?
So I'll tell this story super quick.
Go for it.
I was in elementary school, and my dad, we were in New York, and you can't be a Cowboys fan in New York. And my dad tried to raise me as a Cowboys fan. So I went into school, it was 1996 or 97, and the Packers beat the Cowboys 45-17.
That's the Favre height of Favre.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
And so a kid told me that, and I wasn't watching football. I was like 6. So a kid told me that. So I went home to my dad, and I said, Dad, I heard the Packers beat the Cowboys. I'm a Packers fan. And I stayed like that for 26 years.
Damn.
Wow. And did your dad let you stay in the house after that? Or
So,
he didn't kick you out?
Wait a minute. Apparently, the answer is no. In some way, shape, or form.
On that point, so as I said, I was a teacher.
Yeah.
And, it's a risky thing to just, as you know, it's a risky thing to set out on your own and then try to do that yourself. Taught for 6 years, and my dad was like, do not quit your job, because you're leaving a pension, you're leaving benefits, you're leaving all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it just got to a point where I said, I'm going to take a leap. And that was 2 years ago on June 25th. And so just a week ago or so, I brought my dad, Johnny's dad, out for the first time to AT&T Stadium.
Get out of here.
They got a tour.
Is that the photograph that we saw?
So-
Is that because I couldn't see it out of the corner of my eye?
So
Put it up again, Hoskins, if you
That
don't
was,
mind.
that was a very surreal experience
So,
for me, like full circle.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
So those are your dads right
So
there?
yeah, so that's my dad on my right. That's Johnny's dad, Hal, a veteran on his left. So yeah, the
Come
Cowboys
on,
were incredible
guys.
to us, and that was because again, and I don't know if you feel this way, Rich. I feel like when you're doing things, it's very tough to reflect and be like, oh, this was really cool that we did this, because it's like next city, next thing. We're
course.
trying to raise money for kids. That was a moment when they were looking at the field. I was looking the other way, because I was like, damn, like my dad like told me not to quit my job, and here I am like giving both of our dads this experience.
That's it, buddy.
And it's just like something that I built for 8 years, and I worked so hard doing it, and it was just such a coming home
That's
moment.
beautiful, Tom. And it's tough to live in the moment sometimes, certainly when you're thinking about taking leaps, and the leap you're taking is through a table.
Yes.
Sometimes that's not easy to keep everything in perspective.
But Rich, it's like the greatest picture that's ever been taken of me.
Of
Like
you?
I dropped an elbow.
Is
Like,
that still a scab from it?
Oh yeah, the actual scab like fell off like just a few days
Well, I mean,
ago.
okay,
Tom, I was going to
good to
ask you
know.
that because I've noticed
Look at
you
that.
rubbing your elbow, and I was like, are you
Yeah,
still
no, but
doing
it
that?
still is like look at that picture.
By the way, and also, if I'm not mistaken, is that a Burger King crown?
So
Yeah,
that's
that's
based
what I-
Is that a
off
fast
one of
food crown?
That's based off one of the characters I created for the Bills.
Okay.
There have been fans that have cosplayed when we're coming to. And again, Rich, the first
Look at that
day,
scene, by the way.
Day one, Johnny and I are walking to the first fan event. It's Tuesday, 11 o'clock in the morning. I turn to Johnny, I go, dude, how many people are going to be at this event? And Johnny's like, 12. Maybe. And there was 45 people there. We had teachers there on their lunch break. We had parents bringing their kids who were skipping school. And now we have over 250 people turning out to these events. I'm a guy who talks to myself in his basement, and this is the fan base. And it's just a very like reinforcing, like, wow, there's something happening out here, and it's amazing.
Well, this is a beautiful thing for many different ways, because you are experiencing firsthand what I think you sensed doing your videos and making your videos, is that the NFL fan base is awesome. Yeah. They are passionate, but they got big hearts, man. They do. And I see it every year with this charity run for St. Jude. You and I share that,
Run, Rich, Run.
that this love for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So you're seeing how giving these fans are, but just the fact that truly, again, And I know we keep showing this photograph of you at Bills Mafia because, obviously Packers fans are Seattle fans. I could keep going on. 49er fans are very underrated. They're everywhere. Steeler fans. One year, Chris, just quickly, you back in the day for the Rich Eisen podcast, took Hines Ward to be the correspondent at the red carpet in the Oscars, right?
Correct.
Who knew about that going into that?
Zero people.
Right.
When I showed up to get my credential,
right.
The Oscars people were like, why is the NFL Network here?
Right. And it was me, you knew, I knew, Hines Ward knew. That's it, right?
That's it. And Hines Ward, manager.
And then go ahead and tell them what happened.
Yeah, so we're walking the red carpet. We're there hours and hours before. You have to be in a tuxedo to be on the Oscars red carpet. So we're just kind of walking around, and all of a sudden they have grandstands for some fans, and we look up, and there's people yelling, Hines! Hines! We look up, there's like 6 Steeler fans wearing jerseys and waving terrible towels.
At the Oscars.
And we're just like, wait, what?
Why are you here?
Why are you here?
Right.
It was incredible.
Correct.
They did not know we were coming.
So they're everywhere. They're passionate 24/7, 365, which is why you, along with who you are, how you go about it, what you're saying, and St. Jude all together, they're showing up on a June afternoon on their lunch break. It really is amazing. It's awesome, man.
It was 106 degrees in Arizona, and we packed out a local restaurant there. We packed it out. There was at least 100 or 150 people there.
Wearing red, the red sea.
It was awesome. And I mean, even you talk about the 49ers fans. So this has started to happen now. So as I mentioned, some teams they give signed things to auction off, and that's really, really kind of them. It's super duper generous, and I'm super grateful.
Yes.
Fans are now coming out to these fan events with signed memorabilia, things that their grandparents have given them, and going, I want to auction this off at this fan event to raise money for St. Jude. So we are doing live auctions. They screenshot their donations to St. Jude at the very end of the fan event. Whoever has the highest, we do. At Santa Clara, we had at least 8 items to give away because people were just like, this is for this.
Beautiful. How can people, what website can we send them to right now?
Yeah, so there's on
donate?
social media, it's all there, but on YouTube, it's just Tom Grossi. If you want to hear this Muppet voice more, you just go to Tom Grossi, and on every 30 and 30 video, you could do directly through YouTube. It goes to St. Jude, but there's a link in every one that's like a direct link. You just click on that, and there you go. That's how.
What a pleasure to meet you.
Rich, I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for having us on.
So I hate to give a suggestion, but I get this every year because for my run, every year it gets more and more difficult. But this is not about me, even though I'm literally making it about myself for a quick second. No, hold on a second. Every single year I run, and people are like, "You got to do it again," and every single time I'm like, "Really? Okay." So I look at you, and say, "I think you got to do this again." And I understand that you put off the purchase of a house when I'm saying that, but now you're not just knocking on doors. You're not cold calling NFL teams. They know what you're doing. They know who you are, and the fan bases will know more that you're coming to town. Maybe you're just throwing it out there.
I think
do it again.
The sequel to this, we've seen the stadiums empty. Maybe we see them a little full and throw the biggest tailgate the cities have ever seen. So
now we're talking.
I think that's the next iteration.
Kicking it up a notch, as somebody in New Orleans would say, right here on the Roku channel. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you for
Tom Grossi. Everybody go follow. Give out your accounts. Give everyone out one more time here.
It's Tom Grossi Comedy on the socials, but it's Tom Grossi on YouTube, and it's just me. We're trying, again, shout out to Johnny Barks, who's with me this entire time. We're just 2 guys with a laptop trying to make this work on hotel Wi-Fi and uploading every single day, man. Driving, trains, however we need to get there. And
fantastic.
This is great. Thank you.
All right, everybody, donate to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Once again, it gets sick kids better, and make sure those who want to make sure the sick kids get better never see a bill for anything. Thanks for coming on here.
Thank you so much.
You got it. All right, let's take a break so I can call NFL Network to let Tom in the building and keep all the tables away from him. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.